Good morning, folks. Billy here with Real Time Custom Rods and Real Time Fishing. Starting another rod for a good friend of mine. He's actually gifting that to somebody himself for Christmas. And anybody in Eastern North Carolina knows what these two colors are. Purple and gold. That is East Carolina University. It's about 35 miles up the road from me in Greenville, North Carolina. And he played football there at East Carolina, and the guy he is gifting this to also played football there at East Carolina. So I'm getting started on this. I've already glued up way down there. I've glued up the handle. I hadn't sanded it down. I've got the guides laid out. This is a Fuji guide system, a really nice guide system for speckled trout, redfish, flounder, inshore type fishing. So I'll be putting those on the blank temporarily, holding them on there, and I'll do a static load test, and I'll keep y'all involved in every bit of that. So y'all stay tuned. I'll be getting these on the rod right now. Stay tuned. This rod blank is a North Fork Composites. And it is made, that company is owned and operated by a very well-known rod designer. His name is Gary Loomis. Anybody knows anything about rod building and fishing and things like that has heard of G. Loomis or Gary Loomis. Very, very talented man when it comes to figuring out the engineering, the materials, when it comes to having a highly sensitive rod. This is an X-ray rod by North Fork, medium light, fast, highly sensitive. Very nice rod. I've got several myself. Wouldn't trade them for hardly anything. They are very, very, very nice rods. So 7'3". I'll have 10 of these guides on it. Like I said, this is the Fuji guide train, and they are very well renowned in their field, also well respected. Securing this into the blank with these ties. Blank's a little thicker, and when I do, like I said, I'll do a static load test and make sure, just double check the guides. Usually I have to tweak them a little bit, make sure I get them in the right spot. Okay, I've rigged up the rod. I've got one of my personal pin reels in it. This is a little outfit I made just to do the static load test. As you can see, this first guide is about 18 inches or 20 inches from there, which is about, you want it between 18 and 22. It's right at 20. And the line itself pretty much follows the bend of the rod. I hope the camera picks that up. I like to have a guide right at the top where the rod starts going back down. And again, I had to tweak this once I set all this up. But I'm real happy with the way it is. I think it'll cast good. You've got a good flow from the reel itself all the way out. No real sharp bends from guide to guide, all the way out to the tip. So I think we're good to go. I'm gonna start wrapping this, then I'll actually go out and cast it before I put the polyurethane on it. We'll make sure it all casts good. I've got a setup out in my yard here where I can cast it. It's a fairly smooth, it's not a bait. It's just a weight that's 3/16, and I can cast it somewhere around 50 yards with that. You get a bait on it with some wind resistance. You're hoping to get 35-ish, 35, 38 yards to a cast, which is pretty good, because if you're trout fishing, you know, the trout are a little bit wary, so you want to cast as far as you can instead of getting the boat closer. That way it won't scare the fish off, and hopefully you'll be able to hook them up a little bit easier. So I'm going to take this off the static test. This setup I've got here, I'm going to start wrapping them, and we'll take you through this whole build right here. So y'all stay tuned. Okay, finishing up the very first wrap here. I always start down at the ends because the smaller guys are the toughest ones to wrap. And I apologize for my hands being all in the way while I tie this off. But I've got to get this pull through here. Everything will come unraveled. There's the first one. Just got to trim it up a little bit, a little purple and gold. Thinking this rod is going to bring some football season's about, well, chronologically it's about over, but from a practical standpoint of poor old East Carolina, who I'm a big fan. I've really always admired that program over there over the years. I know that their season's probably already over from a practical standpoint of it. Maybe this thing will bring some good luck to the program next year. I think they got a great coach. I think they're going to build on what they got. That's just my opinion. I don't know much about the way all that works. Putting a 5-turn trim band in here. Decorate it up a little bit. Line tension is something when you build these rods. You got to get Pretty much right. It's too tight. Doesn't want to go up on the foot. It's too loose. Of course, your guide isn't tight enough. Folks, I'm actually messing around with a couple of different camera angles here. I'm not sure. I never know really to the end how I record it and how it looks. So got you up for a little different standpoint there. Just trying to give you an idea of wrapping these guides and what's involved. Telling you, the more you do this stuff, the better it gets. It's true of anything, I guess. I used to get so frustrated just messing with these little guides with these big old fat sausage fingers. And to be honest with you, when I got my power wrapper, this Gen 2, I love it, but the foot pedal was not correct. But being the first one I ever owned, I didn't know what to expect. And it was either on or off. And as slow as I'm going now, I could have never done that with my other one. And that led to frustration a little bit. So Billy Boy's on the road now, getting some stuff done. I probably redid. No, of course I probably redid as much as I actually rewrapped as much as I wrapped redoing them before. I don't know if that's the case, but because of that power wrapper, it sure did cramp my style. And again, I got so frustrated with it about a week ago. I called the manufacturer and folks I bought it from rather, and told them what I had, and they said, "No, man, it's not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be able to. It's like a gas pedal on a car." I said, "No," I said, "Mine is like a gas pedal on the 64 Chevrolet I had in high school. It was either to the floor, it wide open, or it didn't work." They said, "No, that's not the way it's supposed to be." So they sent me a brand new one, free. So if you're thinking about getting into this, I can highly recommend companies like Mudhole. Supply what you need. They're absolutely first-class bunch to deal with. There's been other things too. I've had to contact them, nothing major, and just a good company. Now there's been a merger. That's the sign of the times. They merge, not murder. There's been a merger, and they merged with American Tackle and formed something called the Foundation Outdoor Group, which is a good thing because now they have more things that they have access to, and they can pass that on to you, which I'm certain they will, you being the consumer. So I'm looking forward to dealing with them even more. space these out a little more. The further I go, to make a bigger wrap, more decorative. These little guys, it really doesn't look quite right to have a big long thread wrapped around them, so the further I go, I tend to make them a little bit longer. Got into this rod building business. Once it started, it really still is a hobby, but I just subconsciously, the things I thought would be the easiest turned out to be the hardest, and the things I thought would be the hardest have turned out to be the easiest. And I really thought this pile wrapper would be real easy to wrap guides, and that's putting in these trim bands. Again, you're gonna think I'm foolish unless you do the work, but I work hours and hours and hours doing trim bands. Just to perfect or get it better. I didn't start to say perfected. I hadn't got it perfected by any means. But the thing I thought would be the easiest too was putting epoxy on these guides. I'm telling you, you can do the prettiest work in the world. And if the epoxy work looks like crap, then the whole thing kind of looks like crap. And again, I've redone epoxy, sanded it off, these blanks, redone it, just trying to get it absolutely the best that I could. And that's been a challenge. But what I thought would be tough, chevron wraps and things like that, and it took me a little while to learn them, but I can wrap those. But took me those little trim bands to make them look right and go around just right, and when to add them in, how to add them in. It's all about aesthetics when it comes to those things. They're not functional, it's just aesthetics. A little bit of a challenge. Again, it sounds kind of crazy for me to even say it now, but it's the truth. But you know what? Once you get it, it's like anything in life. A little bit of a challenge sometimes, and once you get it worked out, you can take a little bit of pride in what you do. It's all worth the effort, always. It's always been worth the effort, in my opinion. Okay, this is the guide we've been looking for. It's the last one. Then I start the decorative wrap. And we're progressing right along. This is actually the second ECU job or rod I've done. Well, gentleman, his father graduated from ECU I don't know how long ago, but several years ago. He's getting him a rod. I got him a rod. I'm building a rod. Christmas, and helped me practice for this one, I guess. It's fun doing them. Time does get away from these rods, the actual wrapping. I don't know, I can wrap a rod, even the decorative wrap, if I have all day to do it. I can do one in a day. But when you start putting the epoxy on it, waiting for it to dry, sometimes it goes into several, or it always goes into several days. So these are for Christmas gifts, and as I record this, this is I believe October the 6th. I'm sorry, November the 6th. I got one to do after this. That's a Christmas gift. It's not ECU themed. So if anybody wants one, give me a call. I've got so about the 15th of November, I'll probably take on another one. 15th 18th, somewhere along in there, and get it done plenty of time for Christmas, depending on exactly when you want it. Like I was saying earlier, the things that I thought would be the hardest are not the hardest. Things you think would take up the most time in building these rods are not the thing that takes up the most time. You're waiting for something to dry, or you're one thing or another. Before you know it, a week or two is going by on a rod build. Oh my gracious. Why does it take so long? But that's what it is. Trying to get this gold thread to lay just right. Big guides, when it goes up on it and tries to come down off the other side of this foot right here, sometimes it doesn't fall just right. Like that. So I went a little too far then. It should stop right there. Okay, I've got the guides all wrapped, and I'm starting to, it's going to be a closed chevron, and I'm starting to get that, I'm going to get that started before I call it a day. It's about 5:45, and I kind of need to do some other things this evening. Get a layer of the purple down before I go with the gold. Get these things packed nice so in the morning when I get here, I can just roll. Okay, I'm adding a little sparkly purple in here. It's something to give it a little pizzazz, I guess you might say. You can't use, or I don't know how it would look to use the exact same two colors every time. So I'm trying to give it some little, I guess you call it bling. And I'm gonna go through with this purple metallic, and I'm gonna come back with some silver metallic. Then I'm gonna go back to my purple and gold. And kind of go from there. This is what, I don't know if I mentioned it or not. This is what I call a closed, or what is called a closed chevron, which means when I get finished, none of this area in here will be showing. It'll either be purple or gold. So to do that, these blanks taper from the butt to the other, to the tip. You have to do what they call a taper offset. And I probably should have gone over that a little bit, but in theory, that's supposed to allow for that taper so that when you close it, it'll look a little more uniform. If you were doing an open chevron, which some of the rod would be showing, you can carry it as far as you want as far as closing this off. It really wouldn't matter because the human eye really wouldn't pick up on a fraction of an inch just off one side to the other. Certainly wouldn't look bad. You know, it's funny. I just heard a gunshot out my window. For some of y'all that are watching this from the city, you may say, well, you better call somebody. I live in a very rural area. So hearing a gunshot out my window is not the same as somebody in New York City hearing a gunshot out their window. It is deer season. People do hunt. And maybe the guy got him a trophy. Or a girl got him a trophy. Hope he did. I used to do a lot of hunting. I don't do much anymore. Certainly not anti-hunting by any means. I just started fishing. It just tends to be what I do now. Running 4 strands of gold now. I don't want to say yellow. It's purple and gold is the colors. Chevron's starting to take place now. Coming to a point. I like to, depending on how you do it, you can point the chevron or the arrowhead type part of it one way or the other. I always like for the chevron to be pointing toward the rod tip. So I'll lay mine out accordingly. Epoxy's been kind of a challenge for me lately. Temperature change. I've got a little heater in this shop I'm in. In summer, I had a little air conditioned. If you don't keep epoxy somewhere, temperature in the room needs to be somewhere between 70 and 80. You get much away from that range, and epoxy just doesn't work just right. Wants to bubble on you, and what I call alligator on you, and just doesn't lay on the thread like it should, is the only way I know to put it. So I'm trying to literally keep my shop right now. I'm looking at temperature of 74 degrees in here, and I have another rod going also that I've got at the drying stage, so I'm trying to keep the temperature right around 74 just for that reason. 74 to 75. Run a little bit of this silver tinsel in here now. Okay, this is part one for the video. This video stretched out a little over an hour. It's a little long for folks on YouTube to sit down and watch a video, so I've basically cut it in half. This first section's about 33 minutes long, still a little long. So y'all stay tuned. I'm going to do part two, and I'll release these videos at the same time. That way maybe you can watch one part and the other at your convenience. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. When you hit that subscribe button, just hit on that button and you'll see where you can have some options. You can have all, or personalized, or no notifications. But if you hit all, it'll notify you whenever I get a video out. So please do that. It helps me. If you give it a like, YouTube likes that, the algorithms like that. It places my videos a little bit higher up in the standings, I guess, or whatever the term is, and that kind of stuff. But anyway, y'all stay tuned for part two. ECU themed rod. It's exciting.